Hey, what's up guys? John here. A whopping $25 billion in student loan forgiveness is now approved. $25 billion. It's interesting how this whole dynamic has been positioned to us because we have a whopping $1.7 trillion in outstanding student loan debt. So $25 billion is a relatively small drop in the bucket. However, a very unique situation here is it's being proposed as a gift to help and assist. But in reality, most people that have student loan debt that have been unable to pay over the last couple of years are doing so because they simply are unable to pay. So they don't have the funds, they don't have the means. The government is the largest debt holder of this. And so they're essentially bailing themselves out at the expense of the taxpayer, all while looking like a charitable gift. But it's unique because I believe that this trend is likely only going to continue, and they're going to start relieving themselves more and more and more of this debt commitment at the expense of the taxpayer. Now, I wonder how this whole thing plays out because so far, when we look at the writing on the wall, it's very self-explanatory as to what's going to happen next. So, while widespread student loan forgiveness hasn't yet become a reality, some U.S. borrowers have already received some debt relief. Roughly 1.3 million borrowers have seen $25 billion in student loan forgiveness since Biden took office. On Wednesday, the Department of Education announced it will discharge the outstanding federal student loans of former Corinthians College students after the school faced multiple investigations and accused of defrauding students out of millions. This is the second group discharge of student loans by the Biden administration. The first was in April when loan discharges by former students of Brunello School of Beauty were approved. Now, some unique things are happening though in this space. When someone goes to college, there are benefits. You develop socially, you build out habits of studying and applying yourself, you learn things, you pick up career advantages, all of which are likely going to continue to be really just issued for free to certain students. Now, how does this play out for all the other students that, chose to only go maybe community college for a year or for a semester? They pull back, they realize, it's not worth it. My career is only going to pay X, and my debt load after I graduate is going to be Y, and it just doesn't make sense. That was me. I went to school at a community college in Huntington Beach for 2 semesters. And at the end of those 2 semesters, I realized that my maximum potential, most likely in this field, is probably going to be about $80,000. But my student loans would probably be well over $125,000. I realized that for me, it didn't make that much sense because I realized, if I did not go to college, I could make X at minimum. And the discrepancy between X and Y wasn't worth the $125,000 loan commitment, so I just stopped going and I changed my strategy. Now, a lot of people, they didn't go to college at all, or they barely went just because they were in my shoes. They looked at the risk level of going to college, and they just realized that the financial risk associated just wasn't worth it. Here's a breakdown of student loan debt cancellations already approved by the Biden administration. According to the Education Department, roughly 690,000 borrowers have had a total of $7.9 billion in student loans canceled through the discharges due to borrower defense and school closures like the group discharge for Corinthians College. In April, the department announced the discharge of $238 million in student loans for 28,000 borrowers who attended Brunello School of Beauty between 2009 and its closure in 2016. During those 7 years, the school was accused of harassing or harming these borrowers with pervasive and widespread misconduct. Other borrowers are receiving debt relief after being defrauded by their school includes schools of DeVry University, ITT Tech, nursing programs, Westwood College, and Minnesota School of Business, Globe University. Right? Over 400,000 borrowers have received more than $8.5 billion in debt forgiveness through total and permanent disability discharge under the Biden administration. In August, over 323,000 borrowers were awarded more than $8.5 billion in automatic student loan discharges under the new administration by the Education Department to identify eligible borrowers. Officials used existing data from Social Security Administration, though the data matching the federal student aid said that in April, approximately 15,000 to 20,000 newly eligible borrowers will have their loans discharged each quarter. This, I believe, is going to be a very big trend. There was a whole article, a very big statement came out saying a teacher had $300,000 in outstanding student loans, 300 grand in student loans to become a teacher. And they offered to relieve $10,000. And the response was, that's a drop in the bucket. That doesn't do anything for me. Either you're going to discharge everything or discharge nothing. So basically, it was like almost a negotiation of someone with $300,000 in student loan debt not being happy with $10,000. I understand, but at the end of the day, if you took out the debt of $300,000 to go to school, that is a lot, especially to become a teacher. Maybe you make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. I could see a doctor or a surgeon or some type of a cosmetic surgeon or heart surgeon taking out that type of debt because the upside is there. Maybe they make $800,000 or $1 million or $2 million a year. So the numbers make sense. Why not do that? But to become a teacher and take out $300,000 in debt and then demand or not be happy with $10,000, I mean, that just kind of shows the direction in which student loan borrowers are looking at certain dynamics of the relationship between the government and themselves. In total, more than 113,000 borrowers have received $6.8 billion in debt cancellation through improvements through public service loan forgiveness under the Biden administration. Last October, an overhaul of the PSLF program was expected to result in 22,000 borrowers with consolidated loans to immediately see $1.74 billion in forgiveness without traditional action. At the same time, the Education Department said another 27,000 borrowers could qualify for $2.82 billion in forgiveness if they were able to certify additional periods of employment. By the end of 2021, the Biden administration said more than 70,000 borrowers were able to qualify for close to $5 billion in federal student loan forgiveness due to changes made by the PSLF program. In April, Biden administration announced new actions by the Department of Education to fix longstanding failures in student loan programs. An estimated 40,000 borrowers became eligible for immediate debt cancellation as they now qualify for the PSLF under new changes. The White House has indicated that it's nearing a decision on broad student loan forgiveness, zeroing in on canceling $10,000 per borrower, but has not said that the decision is finalized. Biden has already confirmed that he's not considering $50,000 in cancellation. The Federal Reserve's analysis found forgiving $10,000 per borrower would result in roughly 11.8 million borrowers, slightly more than 31% having their entire balances eliminated. The Biden administration were to move forward under this plan, an estimated $321 billion in federal aid would be forgiven. Wow. $321 billion forgiven. How much student loan forgiveness you receive could be dependent on how much you make. Sources tell the Washington Post that relief could be limited to those who make less than $125,000, $150,000 per individual, or tax filers of $250,000 to $300,000 for couples who file together. Forgiveness could also be restricted to loans and for undergraduate education, excluding programs in medicine and law, for example, that would require additional schooling. The Education Department has also confirmed it is working on new regulations that will permanently improve a variety of existing student loan relief programs, significantly reduce monthly payments, and provide greater protections for students and taxpayers against unaffordable debts. The student loan payment moratorium, first enacted by President Trump in 2020, has been extended through August. Now, what's very unique about student loan debts compared to any other debt is that when you get a student loan debt, they are very happy to give you that debt. I mean, if you try to get that same amount of debt towards a house or towards an investment or towards a business, good luck, it won't happen. You will be able to get that money for a student loan debt, no doubt about it. But if you file bankruptcy, they won't let you go. So normal bankruptcy, if you start a business and it doesn't work out, you can file bankruptcy. If you get sued, get a lawsuit, get a judgment, you can simply just file bankruptcy and it'll just go away. No problem. It might hold you back a couple of years, but the judgments and everything with it, will just fade away. It's not a big deal. But with student loan, if you get a $300,000 student loan or a $10,000 student loan, you file bankruptcy, and after that bankruptcy, you still owe that money. So why is that? It's because you're borrowing money from the government, and the government, they're going to call the shots on that debt. They're not just going to let you go. Otherwise, a lot of people would just go to school, they would take out all this debt, they'd probably file bankruptcy the day that they graduated, and then, they would probably be completely out of it and everything would be fine 5 years later. That probably would make more sense than getting on a road, paying off $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 in student loan debt that might take the average borrower 20 years to pay off. What do you think about this entire situation? Are you for it or against student loan forgiveness? Because just to me, you look at the benefits that people have obtained by going to college in many cases, and to get completely forgiven, whereas everyone else looking at this debt may have said, you know what, like me, I'm not going to do it. It doesn't make sense, and I'm going to go try my luck in the real world rather than going towards education and then trying my luck in the real world. What do you think about this entire situation? Hit the like button, subscribe, or also subscribe on my second YouTube channel. It's going to be a podcast and interactive show coming out next week. And if you want to get started on YouTube, make money on YouTube, start an online business, invest in real estate when the market crashes, join CashNow.video. We also have a team of excellent credit repair specialists that will help you in rehabilitating and fixing your credit and giving you tips in which you can use to increase your credit score. So CashNow.video and LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything's in the banner. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.